fair.
Let's just jump into it, because I know there are reporters watching and they're on a deadline, so I am very respectful to their time. You've been traveling the country, going through red districts, talking to voters, some who are on your side, probably many who aren't. My question to you is, has your prognosis of why the ticket lost changed after these conversations?
Well, I don't know if it changed. I think trying to assess this, and I think it's a healthy thing to do. I got asked right away, and it's an obvious first question. They said, would you have done anything different to be on this? First of all, the sense of gratitude I had to be on the ticket with Vice President Harris and knew what our mission was. We had about 100 days to prevent what's happening from happening. And I knew that was important. And this is look, there's no second place trophy in this. It's zero sum. But when I got asked, they said, would you have done anything different? Well, yes, we would have won. That's what I'd have done different. And with that being said, how do you assess this? And I think for me, what I'm learning going out, and I don't know, like when I got asked, you're out here assessing, what the Democratic Party needs to do. I recognize I might be the last person you'd want to ask. I'm the guy that just got beat in this, and part of that. So I recognize that part of it. But what I am most interested in is that you run for these jobs to improve people's lives. I don't believe their lives are going to be improved. And I was out there to try and understand, why did you not believe that before November? Why did you not believe? And the folks I'm really focused on are those who stayed home, of why they stayed home. And I think what I came out of that with is, we talked about this a little bit upstairs with your students, that there's a lot of people that said, what difference does it make? They're all the same. And that's a pretty stinging indictment because I think we're very different. I have no intention of limiting people's reproductive rights. I do believe climate change is real. I think you should have the right to collectively bargain. I believe you invest in our children in education, and healthcare is a universal human right. So those are the things I talk about. But I think people are saying, yeah, that's fine, but we don't really have any of those things yet. And it became clear to me that there's some pieces that were missing out there. And I took it in Minnesota to do this. When you have political power, you better not just be banking it to get reelected. You better be burning it to improve lives. And this idea of, have we not done that enough? Did we not convince people? And why is it that people were questioning? Tens of millions said, I'm just going to stay home because things will work out pretty much the same anyway. What is left when you watched President Biden navigate a global pandemic, navigate us out of a recession that could have been, put us in a position to do this in a way that was talking about a soft landing and improving people's lives, and yet still a majority of Americans didn't believe that. So that tells me there's a disconnect, and I think it behooves us to soul search a bit, listen, go out there, especially these areas. My district in Minnesota is a great example of this. I won that district, and look, there had only been one other Democrat since 1892. I won in 2006. I won by 30 points in 2008. In 2016, I won by less than 2 points, and Donald Trump won by 17 points. What changed in southern Minnesota? Farm Fields, Mayo Clinic, Mankato State University, Mankato, these places. What changed during that time? And how did we go from overwhelmingly have those people's support to not only not having their support, having their disdain in a place where these were my neighbors? So I'm out there, whether it's Wheeling, West Virginia, or up in Youngstown, Ohio. We went down to Houston, Texas, or actually Fort Bend, down to Omaha, and asked these folks, what is it? And one of the reasons going out there too is I was hearing it. People were like a primal scream of, my God, stop this. This is craziness. What can we do? And asking what we can do. And that's what I'm asking them, what they want to see us do.
And some of those voters, Democrats, or people probably voted for you as governor and for Donald Trump as president.
They did.
So it's an interesting overlap to try to reckon with.
That still. So thousands. But that was still there. But look, the folks here at the Institute who know these numbers, it was not that unusual that you would see a scatter plot that upwards of well over 100 plus districts a few decades ago would vote for a member of Congress from one party and the president from another. That continued to shrink. And by the time my last election in 2016, that year there were 4 districts that Donald Trump won by 15 points or more that also elected a Democrat to Congress. 3 of them were in Minnesota. We were just the last state to succumb to this, that it went, but then we became, and the other one was in Pennsylvania, not surprisingly. So you have these districts where people are still splitting their ticket. That's basically the last time that they've done that. And that's a troublesome trend, in my opinion, that you used to see conservative, Republicans crossing over from, or liberal Republicans and conservative Democrats used to be on each side of that scatter plot. Now we've pulled apart, and that's really troubling. And it is pretty much split on urban-rural divide, and that's a real challenge.
And Governor, this is a strong, clear Democrat